Okay, so once again, to all subscribers and viewers of Rizal Tech Guide or MikroTik Rizal, good afternoon or good morning, whenever you are, what time zone you are, or you are right now. So thank you for spending your Fridays 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. with us in learning or discovering or getting some knowledge for MikroTik. Okay, so last Friday, I believe Sir Bullet have started what we call an initial setup or configuration step by step. So I've also prepared my own slide. So it may not be a continuation, but rather sort of a same initial step by step, perhaps a different take or different topology, but should be majority the same. Again, the objective is to for our beginners or new practitioners in MikroTik, as well as those who know already MikroTik, to be able to review some of their configuration. Again, we are not really the super guru or the guru, perhaps or the expert. We try to, as much as possible, do our best to able to be impart correct configuration in today's live stream. Okay, so I have prepared what we call three topologies, although slightly similar for these three topologies. So I have first topology, second topology, and third topology. Hopefully, can fit into our 1 hour or 45 minutes what we call live stream, kasi magra-raffle draw pa si Sir Bullet. Okay, so in our first topology, so you could see that we have the cloud, or where our internet resides. Okay, we have an assumption that we have an ISP router. So this is a router symbol. We have a MikroTik with a router symbol and with a firewall sort of icon, because MikroTik, as you all know, it could be a wireless device, it could be a router, it could be a firewall, it could be a bridge, it could be a switch. Okay, so whatever feature or product or model that you use, meron po si MikroTik ng ganun po na network device. We have a network switch, an assumption that we have a network switch and connected to our what we call our endpoints. Okay, so assumption that we have some endpoints, both wired and wireless connections. So our wireless connections, we have of course a Wi-Fi SSID, Wi-Fi name. Okay, so to connect for example, our laptops and our cell phone. So basically, they are a basic uh, networking topology or network topology, wherein it could be wired and wireless, or purely wired. Okay, so let's go into our MikroTik. So I have here an RB952UI 5AC 2ND. So in short, it's Hub AC Lite. So as you can see, there is no IP address. So if you have watched our live stream 2 weeks ago, so we did a live stream for default and no default configuration. So you could see or view the for that video. Okay, so no default configuration, so there's no password. So we click connect. Okay, so our concern here is basically on the MikroTik. So we have on our first okay, you could start with on the top, or you could start at the bottom, or meaning to say on the LAN side or on the WAN side, up to you. So as long as there is a procedure or a step that you can follow and you are comfortable with, so and you can not miss some configuration, then that's should be okay. So as long as you can uh, configure it properly. So uh, the Hub AC Lite is a 5-port device with two wireless. You have for 2.4 gigahertz and you have for 5 gigahertz, so it's a dual band. So there's no, in the diagram, there is no port numbers here. So I will, for example, assume that my Ether 1 will become my ISP port. So In some configurations, I would like to rename the interface name itself. Again, this is not mandatory. It's up to you. So it could aid you in the long run, in the near future, because uh, yes, you can remember now. Okay, I always have this thought that yes, you can remember now. You can remember 1 week from now or 1 month from now. So what if you try to support this MikroTik 1 year or 2 years from now, okay, down the road? So it's easy for you, but again, this is not mandatory, up to you. So I'll just rename this one as Ether1 ISP. Then the rest on my LAN, so there is no ports here, but I will have to use Ether2, Ether3, Ether4 for my LAN. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and rename this. Again, this step is not mandatory. It's up to you guys. Okay, so then Ether 5. Okay, so that's it. So next, also, I'd like to prepare my interface list. But again, this step is not mandatory. In order to achieve this topology, you can straight away configure the specific interface for that particular DHCP client. But in best practice, along the way, you will find the interface list useful. So on default configuration, you have two what we call interface lists. You have the LAN and you have the WAN. Okay, so you have the WAN, and in our scenario, we have a single ISP configuration. So I'll just add as an interface list member the Ether1 ISP. Okay, so I could add the LAN individual ports. However, I will be preparing a logical bridge interface later. So I will just go back later to the interface list and add the specific interface for the local area network. Okay, so next is in the topology, you have this one as a DHCP client. So meaning to say the ISP router is assumed to be a DHCP server providing an IP address to our MikroTik router. So there is some form of leasing an IP address. So for example, we don't know what is the IP address that is configured on the ISP router assumption. So IP DHCP client, okay? So IP DHCP client, so this is where you will configure your what we call interface to be a DHCP client. So as you know, interface list is not used on real configurations. Later on, you will have to use it on your firewall and mangling, whatever. But for assigning, it will still be the physical interface. So interface 1. So you use peer DNS, meaning to say you will have to acquire also what is the DNS servers that are configured on your peer. So in this example, the peer is your ISP router. So assuming that there are DNS servers that are configured on that particular router. So you could check this, use peer NTP, which is the network time protocol, assuming that there is an NTP configured on that particular router. So what's important here is the add default route, because it will add the default route which is used for destinations that are not your network or not your local area network. So I'll just go ahead. Okay, so okay. So it will now acquire an IP address. So as you can see that the IP address was bound. I was able to get 192.168.197.24. If you go to status, okay, you will see that the DNS was acquired, okay, from the DHCP client configuration. And obviously the gateway is also here, which is 192.168.188.1, which is our default gateway. So assuming, so it becomes now the LAN side of the ISP router facing the MikroTik. So the add default route, which is the last piece of the add default route, yes, here, is found here at IP route. So this is very important. So DAS, dynamic active static. So this is important because if you try to reach, for example, tools ping, Google DNS or whatever IP that is not within. So what happens is with the moment you click start, what happens is the MikroTik router will compare your route table whether you have a valid entry that matches this particular destination. Okay, so for example 8.8.8, he don't have a exact match, so it will now match to the what we call the gateway of last resort or the default route. So anything that is not specifically matched on your routing table, it will go to here. So it will go to, so ipapasa niya po sa 192.168.1.881 that router. And that router, we don't care if this router will pass it to another router or will go route to the internet. So tools ping, so to to check whether our MikroTik is able to go to the internet. And yes, so let's just try different IPs for this case. Okay, so at least it's sorted out that what we call the DHCP client is connected. Okay, Sir Bullet,
Okay, okay.
all clear?
All
Okay,
clear.
all clear. Okay, so that's on the LAN side. On the LAN side now on the one side, sorry, on the LAN side, you have 192.168.100.1/24. So on our previous live stream, it is the CIDR notation /notation /24 is your net mask or subnet mask. So in this case, it will be on the remaining ports, including our Wi-Fi. So we could actually create a bridge interface. So ports, okay, so we'll add a bridge. So you can name this bridge or whatever. So let's say BR LAN, so bridge LAN. So for example, so click OK. So I'm connected currently on Ether 3, the live stream or the connection of my Winbox on Ether 3 LAN. So I will just not add it for purposes. Okay, so I'll go to ports and I'll add. Okay, so you don't add the ISP port because it should be separate now from the bridge interface. So you'll add the Ether 2. So you'll see it's slanted. Some of the ports are slanted. It means that there is no cable connected to it, or there is no connection. There might be a cable, but there is no connection. Okay, so either there is cable, there's connection, but the other end device is off. It could be okay. It could be those meaning. But on Ether 3, where my laptop now is connected, you will see it's not slanted. So from here already, you will know that you have some problems or need to troubleshoot on the ports. If, for example, supposed to be Ether 2 is supposed to be connected. Okay, so I'll just go add. Hopefully, on future videos, we could have spanning tree protocol, virtual local area network, favorite of Sir Bullet, favorite of Sir Bullet. Okay, okay. So I'll just add two. I'll add three, or I'll just skip that one for properly. You need to add three, huh? So I'll just skip this one. Okay, so Ether 5. We need also to add the wireless. Okay, so the wireless WLAN 1, and we need to add a WLAN 2 as well. Okay, so it's disabled port because there's no one connected. However, okay, so we have created a bridge, a logical interface. So when you create a bridge, all of these ports that are members of this bridge becomes now a single LAN. So in this scenario, they are on a single local area network, which is 192.168.100.0/24 network. Okay, so we'll now proceed with the IP address. So now we now have the bridge interface. As you remember on our previous, we have what we call an interface list, that is a LAN. Then there is no entry, so you can now then add the LAN, which is the bridge interface. Okay, so don't forget, so that later on, if you have some rules like firewall filter rules, which includes, okay, so saan po pa ito nagagamit? So just fast forward, IP firewall, if you have a filter rule, okay, so you have now an interface list rather than individual interfaces. Okay, so you will have multiple rules. you could now use LAN. Okay, so as long as it's not LAN, for example, you can create a rule as long as it's not LAN, don't so we have the drop. Okay, for example, TCP 8291, which is the port of Winbox IP services. So we have services. So as long as, okay, it's not from LAN, okay, so drop. Okay, so you could have that particular rule. So that's the purpose now of interface list. Okay, so we'll go back. So we have now the IP address. Okay, so you'll see we have already an IP address that is dynamically assigned to Ether1 as the ISP port. Okay, so you'll see it has acquired an IP address. So you will now go to your bridge interface. Okay, so the first part 192.168.100.1, which is a Class C private IP address. You can configure the network, up to you. But if you don't know how to compute the network address or determine what is the network address, just go ahead apply. Okay. So you could do some comments. So I will so this LAN, so port 2 to 4. So there are some comment here. So for example, you cannot comment here. So I would love to put some comments on the specific configuration. So at least I could be remember what is that particular purpose. Okay, so this is done. So sorry. So this is done. IP address. Now it should provide an IP address range from 100 to 200. So meaning to say we need to configure a DHCP server, a dynamic host configuration protocol server, which provides an IP address. So IP DHCP server, we need to go into the DHCP setup. Okay, so if we don't have time, so I want to do, for example, here in this scenario rather than the DHCP setup. But okay, let's try. So we don't provide, be careful, don't provide an IP towards your internet facing what we call port. Okay, because the the other side does not need any IP address from you. You should be the one getting or acquiring IP from you. For example, the telco router should provide us the IP, not the other way around, that we are giving an IP to the telco router. Okay, so be careful on this. So it should be the bridge interface. It should not be the individual interface, because these individual interfaces are members now of the bridge. So it should be the bridge instead of the individual, like port 2, port 3, port 4, and port 5. Okay, it should be the bridge interface. Okay, so next, the address space, it should be the correct network address. So next, it should be the gateway. So it's 100 to 200. So 200, you now have 100. So next, so the DNS servers, if it's okay to you, if you have different DNS servers, 999, so up to you. Lease time, okay, up to you. So 1 hour lease time. So DHCP setup. So I will like to edit this one. So for example, DHCP LAN, I would like to edit my pool as well, because it's like that. So I would like edit like LAN. So for example, if I have future DHCP, I will be able to name it properly. Okay, so although nakaset up na po siya na automatic na, so might as well rename it. So networks, okay, so if you have some domain whatever NTP servers, okay, DHCP options, we might have a lesson on DHCP server, because DHCP server is not only purely providing IP address, netmask, gateway, DNS. DHCP server, the topic of DHCP server is also extensive. You have some options, you have some here, DHCP config, leases, and so on and so forth, vendor classes, and so on and so forth. Medyo marami-rami pong mga topic din ang kumbaga sa DHCP server. Okay? So if assumption that there is a computer connected it should be reflected here on the leases. So you will know that a computer is already acquiring an IP address from your DHCP server if mag-reflect po dito. So makikita yung MAC address niya, anong yung nakuha niya address niya, and so on and so forth. So like I said, if you have some more on your network, what is your NTP server? Wins is not uh, used anymore, DNS, okay? Caps, okay? So you have the Capsman for MikroTik. So we might have a live stream for that. Capsman
Ganda
and
yan.
Caps mode, ang mga access point natin. Yun, forte ni Sir Bullet yan. Anything that is Wi-Fi for is forte of expertise of Sir Bullet. Anyway, so this is done. So what's lacking now is the Wi-Fi. So wireless here. So by no default configuration, the two what we call wireless adapters or interfaces are default disabled. So you just click on it and just click check or enable. So we can configure the 2.4, so wireless. So by default it's station, so you have to move the mode to be AP bridge. So there are two modes in order to become an access point, AP bridge and bridge. But for AP bridge, you will have more clients or stations connected to this access point. But for the bridge, you will only allow one connection. So the application for this is if you have a point-to-point scenario wherein you're only allowing one station on the other side. But for access AP bridge, so you are allowing multi connections or point to multi-point. So the ban is whatever. We will have more wireless live stream in the future, hopefully. So BGN, for example, 20 megahertz, 10 megahertz. Okay, we will have some explanation on choosing a channel width. Okay, so you'll have some frequency also. You might use some tools. So, but now it's not the time. So you have to scan what is the less used frequencies in your area or in your location. For example, this is 2467. So MikroTik is not using like channel 1, Sir Bullet. Not channel 1, channel 2, channel 3 on consumer brands. Okay? So let's say 2462 is the frequency. So again, you do some site surveys or surveying tools on what channel or sorry what frequency is least used. So SSID. So we'll just use our MikroTik Wi-Fi. So regulatory domain, we have some explanation more. Okay, so regulatory domain, it will what we call respect. What, for example, you will choose the country settings. For example, Philippines. So where is our dear Philippines? So you will respect the country regulations set forth, okay, by NTC or whatever in terms of the transmit power and the EIRP. So again, wireless is an extensive topic. So installation, indoor, outdoor. So hub AC light, indoor, okay, and so on and so forth. Okay, so so this might be it. So you have the advanced mode for more options, Sir Bullet,
Mhm.
more options. Then you could restrict it to a certain protocol. So 82.11 is the IEEE standard, and you have the MikroTik protocols, NV2 and NSStream will have more of that. Radio name for this is not the Wi-Fi name, but the radio name for registration. So you will see the name of the radio that is registered to you, as well as both sides, AP or the client. Okay, so you will have more here, more settings. Okay, quite extensive settings ang wireless ng MikroTik, but again, it's not the time for us to discuss this. So for us is to configure the AP bridge. So basically should be this one. Then except for the security profile that we have to create, okay, or we have to add our new security profile. So this is AP bridge. So this is done. So security profile, we'll just settle it now. Security profile is the pre-shared key or the Wi-Fi password. Okay, so you could name whatever profile. So for my for my case, I would like to match what is the SSID. So for clarity purposes, that this PSK is for that SSID. So our PSK or pre-shared key is Rizal Tech Guide. So of course, make sure you type it properly. Okay, I'm typing WPA, WPA2, but it doesn't mean it's mandatory that I have to type both because I've checked these two. So if I'm more into security, I would rather use this one, WPA2. If I'm more in security, I will use the advanced encryption standard rather than the TKIP, the temporal key something. So, but if I want to have more compatibility, okay, so I will check this. So up to you guys. So again, make sure that we have typed correctly the Wi-Fi password or the PSK. So Rizal Tech Guide. Okay, so that should be settled. So WPA2. So now we go back to our wireless AP bridge, and kasi po ang security profile na default, wala po siyang password. If we go back, the default, okay, the mode is none, there is no password. So our Wi-Fi becomes open. Okay, so anyone can just simply, if they can see the Wi-Fi name, connect, and they'll be able to get an IP and be able to connect to the network. So basically, we don't want that. We want our security profile to be used instead so that when someone connects, okay? So unlike consumer brands po, okay? You buy consumer brands, medyo straightforward sila. Nandun yung SSID, nandun sa baba yung security key kaagad. Pero si MikroTik po, ito po yung kumbaga step. And make sure meron pang advanced mode dito. Hindi ako nag-simple mode lang, naka-advanced mode yan kasi tinago nila yung security profile. So that's, if it's your first time configuring the access point of MikroTik, so those are the things that you need to settle, the mode. The band doesn't matter really, but again, BGN, of course, and AC if you can, channel width, frequency, of course, but at the minimum, okay, you'll have the mode, you have the security profile, you have the SSID to be in place, and that should be it. Okay, so that is for 2.4 gigahertz. So if you notice, it's 2 gigahertz band. There's no 5 gigahertz because it's on a separate wireless adapter, which is WLAN 2. So again, it's station. So it's AP bridge. Again, we'll have more discussion and AC channel width. Okay, meron mo siya mga extension channels which we can discuss in the near future. 5 gigahertz, medyo marami-rami kasi buong 5 gigahertz, but not buong buo talaga because there are also some frequencies that are used, okay, for other purposes, yung mga DFS channels. Again, another, so 5.7, let me use 5.7 for, okay, for this one, and we have MikroTik Wi-Fi. Okay, so I can use manual TX power. Okay, again, we'll have some discussions on this. Okay, what is to be used? We have super channel, regulatory domain, and manual TX power. In the near future, it's indoor. Okay, so we have what we call the advanced mode. Okay, so you see the advanced mode, tinago nila yung security profile. So you have to click the advanced mode and you have the MikroTik Wi-Fi. So meaning to say, you could have two wireless adapters if they share the same password. So no need to create another profile which is the same password or the same pre-shared key. So you can just simply also reuse what we call a security profile. So apply and okay. So let me check my Wi-Fi and okay. So MikroTik, so Wi-Fi vendor. There's now the MikroTik Wi-Fi here. So one of our, I don't know if my laptop is with 2G. Maybe for clarity, let's put 5G, for example, for clarity purposes. So if we can see that one, don't know if my laptop can should be able to see. Okay, wala sir bullet. Ayaw niya.
Ayaw.
Ha? MikroTik Wi-Fi.
Baka na ano rin, naapektuhan nung sinagasaan mo ng pick-up.
AP bridge. This don't hide SSID. So very okay. So perhaps we'll use a different like 5.2, etc. Okay, so anyway, so okay, let's choose channel 1 or whatever. Channel 1. Let's use channel 1. So channel 1. Okay, so ayan, nandun na si Wi-Fi 5G. Okay? So basically all I need to do is just connect and key in the correct pre-shared key. So that's topology number 1. So any questions or bullet for topology number 1?
Wala namang question dito.
Question. So okay, so let's go to topology number 2. So basically the thing here is the only difference is you have now what we call a static IP address rather than dynamic. Okay, so you now have also some different what we call network on your LAN. Okay, so you have 100, you have 101, and you have 102. So it's also good, guys, to when you create some LAN, it should be contiguous. So the contiguous yung medyo pwede mo siyang ma-summarize itong tatlo, pwede mo siyang ma-summarize. Silang yung /24 /24 and 102/23. This is up to 103. Pwede mo siyang ma-summarize into a bigger network. So that's the advantage of using contiguous address spaces. So what's the difference is static instead of dynamic. So you'll have also some different IPs, and you now have some what we call bandwidth management or bandwidth restriction or limitation, which is assumption we have a 50 Mbps. Obviously, if we are subscribing 50 Mbps from our telco, unfortunately our telco is not giving us the exact 50 Mbps. So this one is, for example, in the perfect world that we are getting 50 Mbps, so we plan for 50 as well. So let's settle with the static. So IP addresses. So we'll just use basically this one. Okay. So we will not be having some conflict. So we cannot remove there. So that's the correct place to remove. But here we'll just remove this one. So if I remove the DHCP client, okay, because we are now going to static, we're not going to dynamic. So the addresses will be gone. The IP address, the dynamic address will be gone. The DNSs will be gone. So kanina hindi natin napakita. So yung DNS, yung 8.8, hindi niya makukuha na. And you don't have also the IP route, which is the default route. Okay? Because that is all acquired. So it's up to you now to what we call add in. Okay? So if I can remember correctly, actually you can use different IP provided you know what IP to use that is not in conflict or is not leased out. Okay? But for this case, para walang conflict, gamitin ko na lang yung nakuha ko kanina, which is 197. So apply. So remember the correct interface. So it should be the correct interface. Apply. Okay. Then we also remember kanina. So it's not only in this diagram, it's not only putting a static IP here, because if you see, yes, I was be able to do a tools ping and ping the 192.168.188.1, but can I go to the internet? Okay, so no route to host. So it's not enough for us to only type in or key in the IP address. So you'll also need what we call the IP route na nawala kanina. So nawala kanina si IP routes. Yan. Okay. So you'll add in a default route, which is any IP address, any network mask or any subnet mask. The gateway, we only have one gateway, and that one. Okay. So scope, target scope, routing mark, soon Sir Bullet. Okay, and if we can reach MTCRE in live stream, and check gateway, ping if the gateway is alive. Marami pa pong pwede. Okay, the distance also here, distance 1, distance 2, what is the distance, the purpose. So in the near future video. So active static is now not dynamic. So reachable. So we'll try to do a ping to see if what we call we can now reach our network. May kulang pala yung topology number 1 because I'm not testing my what we call my endpoint because of course live stream ito. Naka-internet talaga ako on another router. But in this scenario, can the endpoints of this router be able to go to the internet? Yung kanina na topology 1. The answer is no because the we have a route. We have a route. However, these endpoints, when they want to go to the internet, okay, they will carry an IP address 192.168.100. When they hit this router and they will go to the internet, pagbalik ng traffic, magtatanong si ISP router, who is this 192.168.100 network? Wala po siyang route doon sa kanyang routing table pabalik sa 192.168.100. So, if you have an access to the router, if yun po ang preferred, magawa ka ng isang static route pabalik sa 192.168.100. Pero kung wala talaga, no choice, you'll have to do an IP firewall NAT, a network address translation, that if if you want to go to this Ether1 interface, or if you have an interface list, okay, please masquerade. Okay, so masquerade meaning to say whatever is the IP of this interface, this out interface list, which is the Ether1 ISP for now, please use that IP instead when they go out to this area. So pag lumabas itong 192.168.100 to that 100 dito na area and destined to the outside world, so you'll have to NAT. In the near future, if you have some site-to-site VPN, or if you have some VPN here, if you have branch, if you have a router here that is connected via VPN, okay, and site-to-site VPN, you have also, you might as well really indicate the destination and the source address, okay? So, what is the proper destination? Mag-NAT ka lang kung papunta ka sa internet. Huwag kang mag-NAT kung papunta ka sa mga branch network. Mga halimbawang gano'n na scenario. But in this scenario, it's very simple. So you don't need to put source addresses and destination addresses. All you need to do is chain, out interface list, action, masquerade, and that should be enough. There is no traffic because this computer of mine is not going to this router. It's going to another different router. So that is understandable. Okay? So we'll go back to this static. So meron na po siyang IP address na naka-static. Yan. Meron na po siyang routes. Okay? So DNS, kung tutulungan mo si MikroTik magkaroon ng name resolution, so lagyan mo siya ng DNS, whatever. Okay? Then Wi-Fi tapos naman po. So it's all settled. Now it's this area. You have now 3 networks. In fact, the wireless is also on a different network. So you will now have what we call a decision to make. Whether you create multiple bridges, one bridge for LAN number 1, let's say this is LAN number 1, this is LAN number 2, and this is WLAN number 1 or WLAN or LAN number 3. It's your decision really to make. Okay, so however, you could also choose or opt to use the direct interfaces itself. For example, this network or this switch is really connected on Ether2. Okay, so I don't need to create a bridge with a single interface Ether2. I just can straight away put an IP address. Okay, so 192. So this 192.168.100 on Ether2 interface. Okay, then I could create another IP. So I could just simply copy this one. So copy, and this is 101.1. So let me double check the net mask. Okay, /24 on Ether3 perhaps. Then finally, you'll now have the other wireless network, which is copy, which is 102. This is a bigger network /23 on the wireless network. Okay. Okay, you could actually do that, and instead of creating a bridge, but as well, you can create a bridge. Okay, so let me just create some bridge. Create a bridge. Okay, so this BR LAN. So let's say this is BR. So this is LAN number 1. So for clarity purposes, this is LAN number 2. For clarity purposes, LAN number 3. So, ito po yung parang loop back din ni MikroTik sa mga nag-aaral din ng ibang model, so ibang brand pala, may tinatawag po na loop back interface. So, this could be a loop back interface, a bridge without a port. So, in this scenario, si LAN 2 could be a loop back interface because wala po siyang member na port. Anyway, so LAN 1, so the member of this LAN number 1 is my Ether 2. Okay, I have a half AC light, so I cannot really have a leeway on what device I should use. So Ether 4 port I could use. So this is let's say I will not use this one. So this is si YLAN 1 sa nasa LAN number 3 and si YLAN 2 nasa LAN number 3. Okay, for example, that particular scenario. So now you have, because you have 3 networks, you have 3 bridge. Again, it's up to you to decide. Okay, you could go to the physical interfaces directly or create a bridge. If you have more ports on this particular, if you are using a different MikroTik other than half AC light, which have more ports, so medyo realistic or okay, ideal maggawa ng bridge kasi maraming ports yon. Pero ito, halimbawa, half AC light, medyo maraming LAN, so medyo you're pressed out. So, 748, I will have to double down, Sir Bullet. So, may tatlong DHCP server ka din. Kasi yung ginawa natin ng DHCP server, our DHCP server is on LAN 1. So, you have to create a different LAN 2. So, I'll just, for clarity purposes, okay? So, IP addresses. So let's double check. Okay, so on LAN, this one, it should be on my LAN 1. This one should be on my LAN number 2 because nag-bridge na po tayo. Then this one is on the LAN number 3. Halimbawa, although it's wireless. So you make sure you properly assign an IP address to the interface before you start doing DHCP server, or your DHCP server will have some problems. So now LAN 2, for purposes of saving some time, I'll just do a next. Okay, so now you have LAN number 3. Next. So this is 102. So just importantly, all the networks should be present. Okay, so I'll just copy this one. Okay, so copy this one for easy configuration. Okay, you have sa 3 and all the networks pools, just double check. Okay, rename it later as long as there is a list, and that should be okay. Now all is left. Okay, tapos na po yung 3 different networks as well as the leases. Okay, now all is left is the bandwidth management. Okay, so we'll have another different day or different live stream for bandwidth management. So you can start with simple queue, which is the easy bandwidth management for MikroTik. So this is for LAN number 1. So 192.168, what we call 100 what we call 0 network /24. So this is 20M. We will have more discussion, Sir Bullet, sa queue. Ano itong max limit, burst, threshold. So now I could not explain. So this is seconds. So we don't use M because this is a number, it's a time. Advanced, let's say 1M, limit at 1M, priority, and so on and so forth. Okay, so this is for LAN 1. I'll just copy this one for quick configuration. So this is for LAN number 2. For example, they are the same. Then finally on LAN number 3, and you'll have now 102, and you'll have /23. This is 10M. This is burst 10M. We have Bohr's threshold 5M, 5M, doesn't matter, and okay. So, yun po yung simple queue, bandwidth management. You're limiting the entire network 192.168.100 to 20 M upload and download limit. Okay? And also different networks. I would like to prefer destination. However, wala po kasi siyang NAT or inverse. Gusto ko sana na gagana lang ito pag halimbawa talagang papunta siya internet. Kumbaga, Sir Bullet, yung queue niya. I don't want to have this limit on inter-LAN. Halimbawa, for example, there is a scenario that LAN 1 talks to LAN 2, for example. I don't want it to be max out on 20M because anyway, they are not, your only concern is if they go out to the internet. Okay? So it could be addressed on some other like packet marks. If you do packet marking in the future, it could be addressed. But it may be better if MikroTik will have some invert here. So I could create or an address list, for example. So I could easily, for example, do as long as you're going to public IP addresses, use this limit. If you're not going to a public IP addresses, don't use this limit. Okay? Yun sana ang medyo gusto kong mangyari, Sir Bullet.
Maganda yan.
Okay?
Maganda.
Questions so far?
Wala.
Okay. Then, ano pa bang nang iba dito? Ano pa ba ito? So, it's I think it's quite similar. Ito pag may access point ka. Ito na drawing, this particular symbol is assuming you have an access point. So, because obviously MikroTik yung kanyang wireless, ang kanyang transmit power at ang kanyang what we call antenna gain. So we have antenna gain as well here is not enough if you have some users that are farther than your house, okay? Or nasa labas na ng bahay. Okay? So you might employ or you might want to install an external access point so to serve customers or to serve users that is not able to reach for this particular access. So pwede kang maggawa ng isang bridge halimbawa, okay? So we still have some ports in Ethernet 5. Pwede kang magawa ng isang halimbawa, this is for your hotspot bridge, okay? Then this hotspot bridge for your what we call so we have Ether 5 for hotspot HS bridge. So you'll now have what we call a port Ether 5 wherein you can put an external access point. So this external access point kumbaga tumutulong lang sa mga wireless natin. Or you could have a different, what we call, this is connect to another switch, not necessarily an access point, connect to a switch, wherein this switch connects to multi-access point, either omni or sectoral access points. And you can now create a DHCP server for this particular particular bridge so that when someone connects to that particular bridge via the access point, they will also get an IP address. And in the future, I think Sir Bullet will also discuss IP hotspot, wherein we can set up a hotspot on that particular bridge, the HS. Okay, HS, it doesn't matter what's the name. For example, for clarity purposes, it's HS. Then you can set up a hotspot for that. And so that the users will try to authenticate username and password or whatever, voucher code, okay, to be able to get an IP address and go to the internet. So I think I'll leave you with 5 minutes for your raffle draw, Sir Bullet.
Mukhang wala nang raffle. Ibibigay natin doon sa dalawang team.
Okay. So I think that's for basic. So hopefully they get something. Hopefully they'll able to use this so that their MikroTik will they can use their MikroTik so they can go to the internet, and hopefully the next videos will have now to dig deeper on the technologies. Okay, Sir Bullet, I think that's for my side. So I will end my presentation. Kung wala ng question, So, end my presentation.
Okay, so thank you Sir Uxville. So ganda nung explanation. And yung dalawa nating level 5 license
Wow!
router OS.
Ang mahal kaya ng level 5. Mas
Ano?
magkano yun sa market ngayon? Ang level 5.
Nasa 4 plus ba?
Or 4,000
5 or
pesos?
6. Oo.
Wow, ang
So,
swerte ng mananalo.
Bigay na natin kasi dalawa lang itong active.
Okay.
So, kay Sir Dexter Veles and Sir Julius Salas. Okay,
Wow,
so
congratulations.
send me a message sa MikroTik Rizal or sa Rizal Tech Guide FB page. And pakibigay po yung inyong MikroTik.
Oy, ingat po kayo dyan, Sir Bullet pala. May parating na bagyo ata, si bagyong Rolly or
doon na
super
naman
typhoon.
Sa Bicol, kila Sir
Okay,
Sir
so
Dexter.
ingat po, always take care and pray that all will go well po, and hopefully marami na tayong problema, dumagdag pa yung mga typhoon and so on and so forth. Hopefully we'll have some better days ahead. Okay? Sa Davao naman, we have liquor ban, 24 hours, okay? No complaints. So, may curfew, 7 p.m. Then, I think it's for the better naman para at least mabawas-bawasan yung mga active cases sa amin, dito sa Davao region. And, quite understandable. Hopefully, sa inyo dyan, Sir Bullet, yung height ng cases tapos na or medyo lumiit na ang cases sa Rizal.
Pero parang normal na yata uli. Ang dami na naman tao.
Meron namang mga parol or Christmas Pringles. So, ang Christmas caroling, parang YouTube na lang din o live stream. Caroling na tayo.
Pa-live stream natin dito. Magka-caroling.
Ay, November. So, hindi tayo maka-visit pala sa mga sementeryo. So, holidays. Okay? But stay at home. Holidays.
Okay. So ayun, this is the final part for the MikroTik initial configuration.
For October, November na. Next, November.
Tapos sir, November na yung natin.
November na yung
next week.
Next. Hopefully we'll have some more trainers and more ma-invite natin na magsalita,
okay,
na mag-share din sa
international trainers, classmate natin sa sa Thailand, Vietnam.
Yun, may mga Singaporean, mga Thai trainers, Indonesian trainers, hopefully
from US. Classmate akong taga
That's why
US
I'm practicing already how to speak in English.
Yeah, no split tayo dyan, no split.
No split tayo pag dumating na sila. So, hopefully, yun nga, maunlakan na nila ang ating invitation. So that enjoy naman. Maraming mag-share.
Tapos from
ibang take. From MikroTik Latvia. Hopefully from Latvia.
Yes, from Latvia.
Our lecturers,
And then yung magkakaroon yata tayo ng Tech Guys on Saturdays.
Yes, yan, excited ako.
Sama si
Guys on Saturdays.
Sir Jay Soriano. Okay,
wow, Sir Jay. Sir Jay,
trainer.
Okay, hopefully okay dyan sa Saudi. Sir Jay, pasalubong, Pasko na. Chocolate, sapatos. Okay, kasi Sir Bullet, baka mahingin ka pang live stream.
Pang live stream
na pang live stream na mga
pang travel vlog.
GoPro. Travel vlog.
Mas maganda kung matapos na yung COVID para maka-travel vlog tayo ng MUM, yung MikroTik Users Meeting.
Yung kumakain ba ng mga chicharon or nasa beach, okay, or background ba si Mount Mayon. Mga ganun sana. Mga ganun sana na yung parang chill. Ito, nasa kwarto ako. Nasa kwarto ako ng aking hindi panganay, second.
May bago na naman.
Wala. Live stream tayo.
Live stream. Nakalimutan. Okay, so yung kay Sir Dexter and Sir Julius, congrats.
So paano niya kukunin? Kukunin niya dyan sa Rizal talaga. Pupunta siya sa Rizal.
MikroTik account lang naman yun, ita-transfer natin. Oo, kailangan
Ita-transfer.
ita-transfer
Hindi na siya
lang.
mapabiyahe pala.
Hindi na.
Hindi na.
Kasi Sir Dexter,
Pabiyahe-
pwede.
Biyahiin mo talaga. Biyahe talaga.
Papunta
Maganda
na si
magbiyahe.
Sir Dex.
May
Okay.
comment ba? Hindi ko
Wala.
tumitingin sa chat.
Sa chat group natin. Ayan, yung dalawa. Ayun pala. Shout out nga daw Sir Julius tsaka si Sir
So,
Dexter. Ayan.
Si Sir Julius, hindi ko pa na-meet ata yan. So, hopefully, we can meet mga subscribers mo, Sir Bullet, viewers mo, we could have grand eyeball.
Maganda
Eyeball.
yan, maganda.
Yung mga user meeting.
Ayun, sa local, parang MikroTik
Oo.
user meeting, makagawa tayo niyan.
Bro,
Someday.
medyo-
Oo.
Someday. Okay? Okay na
Okay.
siguro? Overtime? Baka pagbayarin tayo ni YouTube sa
Oo nga,
overtime
oo nga.
natin?
Oo nga. So,
Okay.
thanks everyone for listening and watching Tech Guys on Fridays. And see you again next Friday. And soon, may Saturdays tayo. And
Well,
siguro, pag dumami yung viewers, mga hardware naman yung pamigay
Ah.
natin.
Parang ka ng That's Entertainment dyan. Meron ka ng Fridays, may Saturdays. So, parang That's
Monday group, Tuesday group.
na nabibisto yung edad, no? Kasi yung mga generation siguro ngayon, hindi na alam yung ganun ng mga That's Entertainment.
Hindi na.
Ang alam nila, PBB na.
PBB.
Or ano pa ba? Okay?
Okay.
So, okay na. Naparami tayo ng... Hindi pa nga tayo nag-chill. Doon na sa beach.
Hindi pa.
Oh, so, how much more? Okay? So, thank you, Sir Bullet. And God bless. Ingat kayo dyan.
Okay, so
And
we are Tech Guys on Fridays and we are now signing